just about bringing trucks full of food into a community and then having this free-for-all. It's because that's only going to cause violence, it's only going to cause pain and suffering. And so it's about planning it and being strategic and knowing from the 30 years of experience that we have that actually first you need to go out into the community and you need to go to every household. You need to know if there's a mom there, if there's a dad there, how many kids are there, if it's an elderly grandma who can't get out of her house to go to the food drop site. Who are the people that are in the community? Figuring out who all those people are and then planning how do we get them the food that they need, not just for this week but for next week too. And so then it's looking down the road, okay, so we're giving them food and water and immediate health care, but then what are we going to do to prevent a drought in the future? 5 years down the road, how are we going to prevent this from happening again? Who can we partner with that has an amazing amount of expertise that can help us leverage a greater response that lasts, that has permanence?
We're just making sure. What happens is, I think recently, I think because of the newspaper, there was looting of the food. We don't want those things to happen. We want to identify 200 families out there. We have to bring the food equivalent to 200. If we bring a food equivalent to 100 families, then there will be chaos. We will be fighting for the free shortage of food. So we want to make sure we do it in a diligent way that's really helpful. And we have a policy of saying that do no harm. I mean, instead of bringing 100 quantity of food equivalent to 100 families, instead of bringing, you don't have to bring, we want to make sure we bring it 200 food equivalent to 200 families. That can be 200 families. So those are the kind of things we want to make sure we look short term, but your one is going to go directly. If you need us today, tomorrow it can be on the ground. And sometimes it will be doing that. That's how we do it, very fast. But also we're doing the fundraising. We are already bigger. More people getting involved to raise. Somalis, no Somalis, getting involved, donating this money. So that's how we do it overall, to make sure the food pages stay big that we're really doing. So we want to make sure people are not. Everyone is in a difficult situation. That's what our response to us.
Just a quick statement, I just want to make. Thank you. Thank you.
She's fasting with me. So
سيدي هنوقف بين الفود distribution وصلنا إلى إذا.
Thank you.
Yeah. Food distribution. Fundraising وصلنا إلى إذا. No, I just want to say thank you for both of you. I know Saeed for a long time and in Minneapolis. Thank you for always welcoming us. Tariq and I and God, when we always leave from Columbus to go to Minneapolis, that the people who used to help us from 2005 when we started talking about the doctors, where those who doesn't know used to ask that what the doctors. But thank you so much. But I just want to say one just quick thing. I think Muhammad Dini raised a good point in saying this all cause of suffering we most of the time inflict ourselves, and at the same time you cannot do three things. One is, I don't want to do the work you're doing, or anybody good work they're doing. I don't want to support what you're doing, and at the same time I don't want to get your support to do good work. We cannot be those three things. I've known UNDP, we know IOM, WFP, we know CARE International. We did all this work with them. I think this is the best offer we can do. No one, I try to call Oxfam, I try to call even local Red Cross, no response. Now, in the Somali community in Columbus, just for your information, maybe you guys can help us, the non-Somalis, our colleagues, when they call us or email me personally, if I could talk myself, I have no place to direct them. There's no one number, 1-800 number in Columbus, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Where a non-Somali person can call and get information about this job, and get information about how they can help, and is there anybody on the other line who can tell them, you're sending the money to this organization, that? None. this media has been covered about the drought nationally, not locally. And correct me if I'm wrong. Dispatch a couple of things here with the old twist with Al-Shabaab and piracy always comes. Then they haven't had a government since 1991, always closed down because that's the hook basically. So there are a lot of things. I don't want to dwell on this too long, but I just want to say just a quick thing. You're offering us something no one offers us. I try to call. We had a meeting with USAID the other day. Jibril is here. Hassan was there. Rola was there. Some of the things they talked about, it wasn't not too beneficial to our own people. WFP released a 1 year of food, 2006, when the Somali farmers harvest their farm from northern all the way to south, and they crashed the market. But they did not want to talk about it. They investigate themselves, and then they say, we will not do it again. They did it again in 2007. We asked Nancy Lou. That's when Al-Shabaab came and they said, you guys have to get out. That's the story not being told. The headline of the news is always constantly the famine, the drought, the piracy, the terrorism, and the local suspicious people, which is us. Always suspicious. So my point is, I think it's time for us to at least stand up and support something that we can at least hold accountable. If you offer an house to send doctors from Columbus, Ohio, or nursing, I think that would be the right people to do.
Yeah, they are.
If you offer us, as Maddie asked you the question, hey, you guys organize and come up with 2 or 3 people who work with you guys, I think we should come up, especially the youth. And that way, at least people can see on the ground and report it. I just want to say, Justin, thank you so much.
Anybody else? Last question, I think. I see there's any way you guys have a plan for to stop the refugees who's like coming from like all the way to Iran, Shadal, Baibakal to the King, and that they're not getting help from United Nations, WFP, or all those organizations who's sitting down in Nairobi. Like, do you guys have any plan opening a camp in Somalia, Mogadishu, and be able to still up there
So
going?
they don't have to go.
Yeah, they don't have to go in Kenya. Do you guys have that plan?
Well, our team were, part of our team were actually in Dublin. The reason we went there was we are identifying a number of key places. There are even IDPs in Pune, there are IDPs in Gelmudi, there are IDPs in Iraq, there are IDPs even in Somalia. And I use the IDPs as people who are also refugees in their country. So the terminology changes. They travel outside of Somalia, they become refugee. They are inside Somalia, they move from one city to another city, they become internally displaced people. That's how the humanitarian definition changes. So we are doing a multiple work on all over Somalia. Now we're trying to identify the model. We knew that we were in Galkayo, we were IDPs. We knew that in Garo we were IDPs. We knew that at Wasazo we were IDPs. And also as well as in Algeria. But in Dublin, our team were there last week. They did assessment. There are 250 families there. What we're trying is that they're coming from the Bay of Bengal area, they always get over another part of the world, and they're traveling all the way to Rome and coming to the refugee camps in Dublin. But we went inside. Our team went inside to do the assessment. And yes, the area that's under the transition of federal government in Dublin, we visited, our team visited hospitals and we're planning to do some. We just did assessment to do something just like last week. Just go through that, what will be the next plan. So we have a team now working in that area. But also we are planning to go to Somaliland, Pune, Gemu, those areas, because there are some people who are actually IDPs too there. So our plan is to reach out all over Somalia, but identify to go through slowly, making sure we respond quickly, but efficiently. We have to be very, do the work in a diligent way there, very beneficial to the people who are suffering from this.
gather and basically create that common legitimacy and credibility. I'm sure we'll talk about it. But what type of composition do you do basically? What kind of are you taking on associations that already established to add to the movement, or are you taking individual capacity to offer personal skills? Do you hear me?
Okay, with regard to job play, we work in the basic. We're talking about people who don't have nothing. So we work in shelter, food, those are the kind of things that help. Same situation as we do in Mogadishu. So our team did assessment, we work in strategy. Now we're working in strategy. Strategy means logistics, how to deliver these things. Who are the partners? We are identifying partners. Actually, African Future and Global came to, I had a feeling yesterday that these two organizations, or what the two organizations, how those stories work. So we look in all of them, but we have to make sure we are an international organization. When we say partner, actually, like we did with Allah, it has to be a track record. They have to have a registration here, but also they have to have a track record, which means that if they got some funds in the past, if the USG was documented, or meaning the USAID or the United Nations. So we are trying to find, but also we are trying to identify local partners, because sometimes the local partners are the most effective way. So, and that's what we use. Can I finish on the normal? With regard to the medical team, Somali Medical Association countries have we met with them in their association, they have association. There is Somali healthy professionals also, we met with them, the nurses and all the medical professionals come together. And we are working closely. They are guiding us, mobile clinic and other things. So we are having a discussion. Also we are lining up. Some of them are already ready to volunteer for 3 weeks. Because what our concern is the missile breakout in Somalia, other diseases will break out. So before this happens, we have to prevent it. So not only about the food, but also if this happens, how we can do this one. Are we ready to respond? So that's how we do that.
It's just gonna say, also too, what's exciting because we rely on partnerships that are locally, and obviously, as I was talking about, we have to do a very serious round of vetting to make sure that they're respected, that they're transparent, and that they're doing the things that they're doing, so we only partner with trusted companies, but also then looking at what are some creative ways that we can do things, not just on the ground